Good morning, Westeros.
Welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we are your Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners with the Prologue chapter for A Feast for Crows. Gentlemen, how you doing?
New book.
I mean, hell yeah, this is a great day for us. I like this moment every time because it feels so rare, right? Like it takes so long to get to these kind of.
We'll see you back here in like next December for the next one.
Exactly. So I'm trying to enjoy it for what it is. Like early impressions, no idea who most of these people are, right? Like I'm not even sure. We'll get to my thoughts, but I'm not even sure any of them will matter or whatever. Who knows? It's all fresh start. Loving it.
They always matter. They matter more than the timeline. So
Well, that's what I'm trying to look up right now because I did not prepare that.
The timeline.
What did I just say? Doesn't matter.
Timeline-wise, this is pretty much right at the end of Storm of Swords. This one actually makes sense. Might be a 4 of some of the last few chapters, but it's pretty close to the end.
Kyle, thoughts? Do you like being in Old Town?
I am kind of interested about Old Town here, right? Like I had to kind of think through that and where it was, and we're south of King's Landing, right? The Reach, essentially. It's kind of where Dunk was.
It's kind of like southwest, I think, right?
Yes.
It's like not Dorne, but close to Dorne.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sort of Dunkish-ish.
Yeah,
Not saying it's like Dunk was there, but
yep.
So cool, yeah. It's a new experience, right? We haven't been here.
I'm sending you guys a map real quick.
I actually can't find it.
I see Old Town. It's way down at the bottom, real low.
Isn't it near the water though?
Yeah, it's in an inlet.
It's in Dorne. Is it not Dorne though?
Not in Dorne. Dorne is the mountains.
Because it's to the west of the mountains?
Yep.
Gotcha. So Dorne is Italy. It's just a boot.
Pretty much. So I don't know if you guys said it. I was kind of distracted looking at the timeline. We got Kyle's thoughts. I didn't hear him, but whatever. I'll listen to him in the edit.
He liked him. He enjoyed it. He enjoyed being in Old Town.
What about you, Jeff? What were your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it back on the second read.
Yeah.
It was definitely a chapter of the first read through. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, why does any of this, what do I care?
For sure, right? Like, that's definitely the main thing I got out of this was like, who are any of these people?
Right. And why does their life matter to me?
Yeah. Like I said, I think Feast is a lot of new stories getting started off. It's almost like, hey, we're getting new stories in the same world. So obviously there's going to be some crossovers, but like we're definitely following like a lot of new stuff. And again, this is a prologue, so normally like we don't follow prologue characters.
Prologues don't matter. One, you could always back in the day, you come across a prologue, skip that shit.
You said this before. That's ridiculous.
20 pages you don't need. It's 20 pages you don't need.
The first 20 pages of the book he skips.
The thing is, in Game of Thrones, you probably actually could though.
If it was important, it would be chapter 1.
Clash of Kings, maybe not. Because you got Crescent, you need to know about him later. But Game
really.
of Thrones, all you have is the stuff beyond the wall, which really doesn't come back up.
I bet if we went back to that Davos chapter, they were like, yeah, and Crescent died because he tried to poison the Red Woman. And they would just tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah, in the Davos
summarized,
one, yeah.
But
and I think that's the other thing about this chapter is I think there is a lot of summarizing in it. It's like there's a part where he talks about Stannis and like, oh, Stannis likes the Red God. He does this. He does that. It's like, okay, yeah, we know all that, right? And I think there's a lot of like, and again, I think it's because when these books come out,
long break.
I don't think it's expected that anybody is jumping into this one, but exactly, it's been like 6 years or whatever, 5 years since Storm of Swords, I think, at this point. So
yeah. All right, so let's jump in. So we
also, before you say anything, Crescent makes a cameo in this.
He does. He gets mentioned. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we come into some boys just being boys at the Quill and Tankard, chilling out, having some cider, shooting some apples, talking about current events of life. That's just what boys do. They go to the bar, talk about current events.
Yep.
This dude is good at the era, right? Like, I mean, this is nighttime.
Till his last shot, he's
How do you want to say his name?
Oh, well,
Alaris?
it depends.
The Sphinx?
He got an easy nickname, the Sphinx. I think his first name's trickier.
Alaris?
I would say it was Alaris.
Alaris?
I don't know.
Alaris?
I don't know what else. No, Alaris. Don't be trying to beat Glow up here. We got rid of Glow, okay? We don't need no Kavan and shit like that. It's Alaris.
Well, that tells me he's not in the show.
Feast and Dance aren't in the show. That's like 80%
we're done.
true.
Show's over.
Yeah, this
Show's
is definitely
over.
not in the show at all.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
The show sucks.
Not quite, but yeah, like probably, if I'm being honest, probably like 65%, if not more, of Feast and Dance are not in the show.
That's
and the
crazy.
40% that is left is drastically changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So we got Melander, Alaris the Sphinx, Roan. Is it Roan?
Rune.
I think I got auto-corrected on that one. And Armin the Acolyte.
Yep.
And then we got our boy
Pate.
Pate the
Spotted
pig
Pate.
boy.
Does Pate mean something? Is that like
They say later there's like a we've never actually heard it before, but there's like a famous like story hero, kind of like Paul Bunyan
He
type,
clumsily wins every time.
type character who always
so they call
ends
him
up
a
winning.
pig because of that?
No, that's this character is Spotted Pate the pig boy, who has like a bunch of like short stories that people tell each other, where he always like is a doofus and he clowns his way.
I don't get
kind of
why
like
he's
Dunk.
a pig. Why is he a pig boy?
That's just his character. So now people, because Pate has the same name, they call him Spotted Pate the pig boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Question: did we see anybody named Pate before? I feel like I've heard this name before.
There's a guy on the wall named Pate. I
Okay.
think there's a few other ones, but the
Okay.
the only
Nobody
one that-
like a yeah,
the only one that's just Pate is a other guy on the wall.
but it's like not important or like yeah, he's not like
We
a main
have
character.
Sir Pate of Seven Streams, who I think was the one that married one of Merritt Frey's daughters, and Thomas Evans like, I played at the wedding, right?
Yeah.
That was a Pate. We had Spotted Pate of Maidenpool. We heard about him in a John chapter. He might be the one from the wall. Yeah, he's the one from the wall. Old Pate. They were in Old Pate's Gardens with Anguy and Tom one time. So we've heard of like random, just like lowborn people Pate, but yeah.
It's just a name. All right, okay.
It's kind of like Watt is how I see it from the Duncan Egg book we just read.
Yeah, and it just felt like I was like, am I supposed to know this person? I was like, I don't think I am.
No. You don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
So they're sitting around, and the first thing they're talking about is dragons, and a lot of them are talking about the actual animal dragon. And our boy Pate's just worried about one gold dragon, baby.
Exactly. So they're talking about dragons because there's been talk of dragons down at the dock, and we'll get into that argument in a little bit. But exactly, for a little while here at the beginning, we get a bunch of different random crap Pate's thinking about. I have it more by like points of what Pate's thinking about than by like chronological. But like what I have here is Rosie, the alchemist, like the first time he met the alchemist.
Yeah.
And like his history with like the Maester stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Rosie is the barmaid's daughter, pretty much at this place, right?
The I would say head wench's daughter.
Is this a brothel? They call it like an inn. It's like referred to as an inn, but Emma's upstairs with some.
Yeah, I think it's for gentlemen.
Okay, Quill and Tankard. Yeah,
they don't want it to be Old Town sophisticated. It can't.
You can
be
drink
like,
downstairs, but there are women.
Let's go to the inn. Maybe Rosie's mom will give you give you the okay.
Exactly.
Anyway, daughter costs a dragon to anybody that wants to take her maiden head.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
is that essentially he's going to marry her for that?
I think that's virginity.
That's at least what he seems to think, though.
Exactly. Pate thinks this is like means we're together forever. I think when I read that just means you get to take her virginity. Like it's like her first time.
It's almost like he thinks that Rosie loves him back, like they share. But it sounds like she's smiling at everybody and giving a little thigh touch, and she's been taught by the lady. I don't remember what her name was.
Emma.
But she's a good little.
It's hard to tell. Like, is Rosie playing that game already? Like, if she's only 15, like, isn't she a little young? But maybe it's hard to tell.
I would say, yeah, but not in like this area. Like, what was Aliaya? She couldn't have been much older than 15.
That's true.
And again, like they're saying, you have to pay a dragon, so maybe that's like a price that like it's not worth it.
Well, that's super expensive, obviously.
So like you can pay like if someone really rich comes in, like I guess he'll take the dragon, but like the normal guy, these guys are gonna be like, all right, I got a few coppers, like.
It's weird that we actually do know an average transaction rate, I think, for whores, because when we hear the story about Taisha, Tyrion says like she was given a silver for every man, which even that was above average price, and then I gave her a gold at the end. So yeah, gold is a lot for Rosie. But again, Pate wants it. I was thinking the same thing you are, Jeff. Pate seems a little delusional that this is more than just like a night together.
He's planning his life. I mean, that's the biggest thing is like he's playing his life with her together. Like we can go across the world, like almost a Dunkin' Egg deal. Like I'll get a cart and we can just chill and go see places, or maybe we can even set up a house somewhere, right? Like he's delusional. While the other guys are just fascinated about the talks of the dragon and when the last dragon was and if it's actually over there and with Dany.
Yeah. I had that dragon as dragon as a separate section. So yeah, he's thinking I need money for Rosie. That's how that deal works. He thinks I saved up. I have 9 silvers and a bunch of coppers. I looked it up. Even if he has enough coppers to make 25 silvers, I looked at the conversion. It's 210 silvers to a gold. So he has 9. He's way.
That was
off.
what I was gonna say. Is how many? Is it 10 silver to 1 gold? Nope, 210. All right, yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, where am I gonna get this gold?
Well, this alchemist showed up to the docks one day. or to
And
the
the alchemist didn't show up to the dock. The alchemist
Showed up at the
Rosie.
bar, right?
Rosie brought them together. Maybe she did want him.
that's what I'm saying. It's hard to tell.
Oof.
Or did she just want the gold?
Yeah.
She's like, hey, here's my ticket to a gold.
Did she set him up? Did she set
And
this
it's
up?
kind of weird with what happens by the end of the chapter too, right? So like,
Yeah, did she set him up to get whacked?
yeah, who knows? Get the key and
Never know.
don't gotta get horizontal.
Is that the best unanswered question in Game of Thrones? Did Rosie do it?
Was Rosie evolved? Yeah.
Wow. Now that just changed the whole chapter. That changed the rest.
Jeff's in now. Before he was out, now he's in. He didn't say it, but yeah.
And
now
he mentions, like, I don't know what's next for you now, but like he wanted to be a great maester at one point. Like when he got here, he was really determined to be the next guy on a nice horse and ride through the city proudly.
he sounds like Sam. He's just like resigned to lose.
Yeah, but he's not good. He's
Yeah.
not smart though. He's a fool.
Okay. Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
He's just got different priorities. He wants Rosie.
We don't know him well enough, I guess, for me to make a judgment on
Sam
it.
fell in the Gilly trap. No, like he was like, man, I'm about to bail on this job for Gilly.
I just mean at one point when Pate is thinking about like how far along everybody is, he's like, this guy has this many links, this guy has this many links, this guy doesn't have any, but he hasn't been here that long. I've been here 5 years and I still don't have any. Like I've tried twice, but I failed both times. Like I
Yeah.
don't think Sam would have failed twice. My boy Sam's would be crushing
True.
links like Alaris.
So I thought that conversation was like, I failed at being the full maester, not just getting a link.
Mm-mm.
Like it's
I feel like I learned a lot about maesters on like my close read through of this one. So you're right. He was really fired up to be a maester at first. He got excited because he was actually picked to serve an archmaester. I don't think this is explicitly called out, and maybe this is very clear. But the way I'm reading this is archmaesters are kind of like the experts of a profession, of like a certain
Deans
medal
of schools.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Archmaester Walgrave is like the dean
Like
of
the
Ravenry.
dean of metallurgy. Yeah. the
He's
dean of-
Ravenry.
yeah.
So he's like the
Ravenry,
Raven
yeah,
guy.
exactly.
Is Walgrave, and Pate even says like he's still an Archmaester by title, but really like all his duties have passed to this other guy because
his mind is gone.
Maester Gorman, because he literally has dementia. He shoots himself and winds up in the wrong tower all the time.
Yeah, he can't remember much, and his job has become taking care of him. Which,
Yeah, and he's like, so I'm not going to get great advancement here because it's not like Walgrave's going to go to the other Archmaesters and be like, Pate's doing such a great job. He's such a great student
Yeah.
because Walgrave doesn't know who the fuck Pate is. He called him Crescent half the time right here. I don't know if this is where it is, but that's where the name comes up. As apparently Crescent might have had this shitty job at one point as well. Yeah,
Which is kind of crazy because Crescent was old.
yes, Crescent's pretty old. So
Tells you how old
Walgrave's
this cat is.
old. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It must not be that bad to be a maester because they live. I mean, Aemon, old, Walgrave. Now one's blind, one's mind's gone, but hey,
Well, they probably don't have enemies, really, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, they're just staying healthy too. They're around all the best doctors or the doctors in training. It's like,
yeah, when it's like, what, like I said, like, who's going to kill the Maester? As long as they're like trying.
yeah, well,
right?
sometimes they might get in your way. The alchemist.
So he
Fair.
Yeah. Don't go to the Quill and Tankard. Also Quill and Tankard, pretty cool bar name. I need a Quill and Tankard t-shirt.
Fits in Old Town too. I'm surprised you don't actually.
I have a bunch of t-shirts from bars in Lord of the Rings. I need a nice Quill and Tankard. I mean, we got like the Inn of the Kneeling Man and the Inn of the Crossroads are the two bars we know of, right? And they're both in pretty bad shape.
I like the Kneeling Man, but that bar kind of sucks. Nothing good's
Yeah,
happened
it's like
there.
literally about surrender.
All right, so let's get back on.
So he tried twice to get his
First link, yeah.
link. Yeah.
In Ravenry, he didn't really say.
No, he exactly. He didn't quite say. He said Archmaester Ebros doesn't think him worthy of the silver.
What's he in charge of?
Well, he's in charge of the silver.
All right, well, tell me what the silver link is.
Let's see if you can guess. Because later, Armin, who's the one who has the most links, he says, "Hey guys, Ebros is giving a lesson on urine today. We don't want to miss anyone who wants their silver link. Better not
Bodily
miss it."
functions.
I think it's medicine. So I think this is like he's like the head doctor.
Okay.
And I think the second time he tried, I actually don't have it quite yet. But here I have why people don't like him. Ebros didn't think he was good at the silver medal. Gorman had accused him of theft. He gets into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Like he thinks he broke the box, which I mean, then he did steal from the box. So
Are you a thief?
yeah. And once when he was drunk, he was talking high about how he would be a maester, and lazy Leo made fun of him. Said like, once I'll be a novice, but you'll be a formal novice herding sheep. So no one has any faith in Pate, which I mean, it seems like they shouldn't.
Yep. All right, so waiting on the alchemist. So he's there. Do we hear that kind of story, right? Like this guy showed up. Rosie brought them together, and he showed him how he could turn iron into gold, and that obviously spiked his interest because he could use a 1 gold piece.
Exactly.
Like, why? I mean, I understand that Pate got set up, right? But why would you like be? Oh, I know what's iron that I can bring you. Is this fucking master key?
I think it was more so the alchemist purposely asked for the key.
Yeah, I don't think Pate's like, what could you want that was iron?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you want some gold? Like, what can you get me? I heard there's this key that can get me into some shit at the spot. Not so like, oh, there's this 1 iron key, because I feel like you could go around and find something iron.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like
Isn't
a
that
mug
like
or
the whole
something
idea
like
behind
that.
the alchemist, right? Is they gonna just turn like 1 metal into gold?
Yeah,
It's
but
like
not
alchemy.
for free.
Yeah.
You're doing that shit for free.
Well, yeah, it's like transmuting stuff. But I think this is one of the interesting questions that people wonder is, what do they want with the key, right? The key seems like a means to something else. It's not like the end goal.
Well,
It's
for
like,
sure, yeah.
And he even thinks about that at the end, but then he's like, screw it, I don't care. I'm about to go get Rosie.
Yeah, exactly. I got what I want. Yeah, it's not my problem. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
So he also kind of talks about how he got here tonight. So he wasn't sure if he was going to buy into the alchemist. The alchemist was like, yo, come back in 3 days. I'll be here. You know, we'll get this thing done. So he was coming down for that, but then he ran into his gang of boys, and it would be weird if he didn't join. One guy got a link, so rounds are on him.
And later the alchemist says, I saw you with your boys. That's why I didn't bug you until now. So it all worked out. That's why we got the chapter.
Well, it's more of probably like, shit, they're gonna figure this out.
No
like,
witnesses.
yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
next part I have is them getting into the dragon talk.
Sure.
Hollander and Armin are arguing about it.
Yeah, I don't have much. I mean, they're one guy's believing the rumors from the ships.
Getting
and
a
the
bunch
other
of
guy's
sailor
like,
stories,
they're all
exactly.
different, right? But it's
Yeah.
really only the location. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like some kind of different, but they all do involve dragons, and they all involve a beautiful young queen.
and they're all like in a path. Like, it's not crazy to think that they started one way or one spot, and which is what happened, right? Like, oh
Yeah.
shit, they're at Karth now. They're
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
they're
They
here.
were all right. Yeah.
Open up your mind, guy.
They're trying to get him to throw more apples. He does. He splits one at one point. Somebody makes a joke about it was wormy, and then like, oh, if you could split, when you split worms, you get 2 worms. And someone's like, if you could split apples like that, no one would ever be hungry.
It's also really impressive that he shot it with an arrow, like not just a stationary deal, but like a moving thing. Like,
Yes, dude.
people shoot that with shotguns, and like
Exactly.
you're impressed. Like, wow, you got a buckshot, and that was impressive.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
good shot. And Alaris is the shooter, right? Who's
Exactly.
of Dornish. Melander. Well, we kind of find out about them personally, right? Some backgrounds on them.
Yep. Alaris would become a maester. He had 3 links after just 1 year. Armin had more already, but each one of his links took a year, so he's probably been here 4 or 5. He's
been here a
the
little longer.
acolyte, Armin. Molander and Rune were still pink-necked novices, but Rune was young and Molander was a drunk, so like he didn't really care. He was just there to drink.
Yeah,
and-
Molander's got a bad card. He's got a little club foot action, and he should have been a knight.
And his dad died in the Blackwater.
Yeah.
Do we know his dad?
We don't know his last name, so
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, that is a good thought. But yeah, since then he's especially been getting drunk.
Yep. And then Pate, he had been here 5 years. He got here when he was 13, so he's about 18 now. And he had tried twice. Once he got shit on by Ebros, and the other time he tried to demonstrate his knowledge of the heavens to Archmaester Valen. And he learned where Vinegar Valen got his nickname. So that was the other one. The heavens, that's what Pate tried for.
Interesting. All right, so
So they show one more apple. He misses it. He says something about you got to miss your last shot, or you never stop, that's when you stop improving, is when you make all your shots. Which is like, okay, that I get what
I
you're
disagree.
saying. I get the point, but like, you can't just like, you just need to keep shooting till you
It's
miss.
yeah.
Right?
yeah, you just gotta leave on a make.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, well, I don't
Gotta
know.
leave on a make. That's one thing playing like warming up for basketball. You just gotta leave on a make. You can't.
I'm just saying, if he
Even if you gotta
takes,
go to the foul line.
if he takes 5 arrows every time and he just hit every single time he hits 4 and misses the last one, then he's still not improving. Like, I don't know. I understand the point.
That's
but
fair.
It doesn't
That's a
quite
good
make
point.
sense. the
It's
way
just
he's
I
talking
think
about it.
yeah, it's bad. It's a bad point. It's a bad point for sure.
Yeah.
Because you gotta end on a make. You just gotta leave feeling good. If you leave on a miss, like that throws off the whole rhythm of your whatever you're doing. You can't feel good about that. It's gonna be on your mind.
So we get a little bit more into this guy, Alaris, the Sphinx.
Yep.
While everyone else is drinking this fearsomely strong cider, which seems to be what the Quill and Dankard's known for, Alaris is drinking some fancy wine from wherever his
Yaba.
mom comes from.
They say the Arbor?
I think they say where his mom comes from, and then later I think we hear his mom's from the Summer Isles.
I don't know what they got in the Summer Isles.
Some type of fancy wine, I guess.
I have no idea. Yeah.
How's he affording that? But his dad's from Dorne.
Yeah, so he got the nickname the Sphinx from Leo, Lazy Leo. A Sphinx
Leo's
is a
just
bit of
giving
that.
all the nicknames out.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick. And he's not even a funny dick like Bennis. He's just a dick. You know what I mean? Like sure. Bennis is at least funny. Leo doesn't do it for me.
And if you're wondering who Bennis is, he's from the second novella of A Dunkin' Egg.
Dunkin' Egg, fresh on our mind. Yeah, so he says a Sphinx is a bit of this, a bit of that, a human face, the body of a lion, the wings of a hawk. Alaris was the same. His father was a Dornishman. His mother was a black-skinned Summer Islander. His own skin was dark as teak. And like the green marble sphinxes that flanked the Citadel's main gate, Alaris had eyes of onyx.
Black eyes.
So he's a mutt. That's kind of why they call him that, because he's just a mix of different races, which I guess is not normal.
So I think this is a good time to say it now. Like this is the dude I would hope the most to get a chapter for going forward. Like if we're gonna get one
Alaris
of these
already, we want an Alaris chapter. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think he would be the one that seems the most interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely a little intriguing. So he basically got them to throw the last apple so that he could give his take, and his take is the dragon has 3 heads.
They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Only on the sigil does it have 3 heads.
Exactly. Armin is kind of funny, like on a like when I was taking notes, because the thing it says about Armin right away is he's the acolyte, and acolytes always look down on novices like they don't know what's anything. And Armin is the guy that's actually who's like he's me. He's like and adds like his 2 cents in everybody else. So he's like, yeah, dragon has 3 heads. He's like, well, actually, that's only on heraldry and banners. So that's basically him the whole time.
And the Targaryens are dead.
I'm the worst.
Yep, and all the Targaryens are dead. And he says, not all. The beggar kings had a sister. And he's like, oh yeah, the Molander, the drunk guy's like, oh yeah, the Stormborn. And he raises a toast to her.
Well, yeah. Dangerous. That's treason around these parts, young sir.
I was wondering if this could maybe be a hint to who his dad is. His dad died in the Blackwater. That makes me think he might be anti...
But maybe a Targaryen loyalist?
If he's actually anti-establishment, then he probably doesn't like the people who are currently on the throne, which means maybe his dad was fighting for Stannis. Who knows, right?
For sure.
His dad died fighting against the Lannisters, so now fuck the Lannisters.
Well, especially if they're from south here.
But he could still be pro-Stannis, right? Seems like they know Stannis is still alive.
From like the Stormlands, maybe?
Yeah, doesn't really add up.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out later.
I just think he doesn't care. He's drunk.
Well,
it's funny. Go ahead.
You go.
I was just say it's kind of funny that when they're doing this like toast, one of the things that Armin says is like, keep your voice down. Like the spider has ears everywhere, which again, like kind of to the novella we just read, that's something that was like
2 ears and 1,000.
Exactly. They weren't saying this about Varys in the Dunkin' Egg one, but they were saying Bloodraven, 1,000 eyes in one. Don't like Dunk. Anytime anybody said somebody saw Stump's looking over his shoulder, thinking that to himself.
For sure.
So just thought that was a little throw in.
You gotta keep your head on a swivel for the spider. But as you know, happens to be, here comes Lazy Leo out of the shadows.
Yep. Heard
it all. Has been just eavesdropping on him.
Hop frog.
Yeah, that's what he calls Molander. Hop frog.
Why?
Because he's got to drag his foot around.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. I didn't even think about it. I was like, why would he be called Hop frog? But yeah, it's definitely a club.
Not really
joke.
hopping though. Like, why not like drag leg or? I don't get the old hop frog, but
yeah. I wonder if his frog is part of his sigil.
Yeah, it could be.
Let's not go down the who's Molander's dad rabbit hole right now. Nobody wants him here. They're all like, Leo, get the fuck out of here. Like Molander's like, get out of here.
Tired of dealing with your ass.
Alaris is like, aren't you grounded anyway? Like you're not supposed to like leave the Citadel for 3 more days. And he's like, yeah, this one maester says the world's 40,000 year old. Another guy says 500,000. 3 more days, it ain't gonna matter. And he sits down with him and he's begging him to pay for a drink the whole time. But he also like talk shit on just coming from having like a really fancy dinner. He's like, oh yeah, I had lamb chops with this fancy sauce with like truffles. What'd you guys have? Boiled mutton. I'm sure it was filling. Like, and then he's like, pay for my drinks. Like, dude, you're the Tyrell. You're the rich guy, right? That's what we learn later. Is he's a Tyrell, which seems to be why he's throwing his weight around here. And I think he's like the pompous rich kid. It's kind of how I see this. Like none of the rest of these guys are.
For sure, man. Yeah. Well, I liked when Alaris said to him like, he's like, I only buy rounds for my friends or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they don't like him.
Yeah, we learned about the name Spotted Pate the Pig Boy. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier.
So the other guy, the actual story is about Pate. He's the spotted Pate. This guy just happens to be named Pate and maybe smells a little bit, so they call him the pig.
No, hold on. I have the quote.
Who was the original spotted Pate?
I have the quote. Give me a sec. Spotted Pate the Pig Boy was the hero of 1,000 ribald stories, a good-hearted, empty-headed lout who always managed to best the fat lordlings, haughty knights, and pompous septons who beset him. Somehow his stupidity would turn out to have been the sort of unclothed cunning. The tales always end up with Spotted Pate sitting on the Lord's high seat or betting some knight's daughter, but those were just stories.
Okay. So it's like you calling me like Jeff Gordon because my name is Jeff.
Yeah. Or if your name was Paul and I just called you Bunyan.
Yeah,
or something like that, right? Like a fake made up person. Exactly. Or Johnny and I called you Appleseed. Some shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
those are lame.
Jeff Gordon's a real person.
So is Johnny Appleseed.
No, he's not.
I think he is.
This is where Kyle's supposed to chime in and take a side.
I think he's based on reality, but I don't know.
Was an American pioneer nurseryman.
Nurseryman means he's from stories.
He died in 1845.
Yeah, in a story. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll have to look more about that later. I'll put the Wikipedia article in the video.
John Chapman was a real person who lived in the 1800s. Asshole.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
so,
back to winner.
Lazy Leo's like, whoa, wait. Alaris is actually right. Yeah, he came at him a lot. I don't want to get into all the... He came at Alaris, meanly.
Yeah. He's kind of racistly, actually.
Big racist.
Yeah.
Big racism vibes from Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you brown man this, brown man that, pretty much.
Yeah, like, at least you don't stink like Pate, though. So,
Yeah.
just coming at everybody.
But he's like, he's actually...
like Michael Scott. Bam, roasted. Bam. But again, not funny, just dick jokes. Michael Scott at least funny. Kind of funny. Some of them. He's like, Phyllis, you're fat. Boom, roasted.
Isn't that what he said?
One of them is somebody you're fat.
I think he called her old, and it was like, we graduated together. Type of thing. But
somebody he calls fat. Maybe Stanley or Kevin.
Stanley, I can't pick between a fat joke and a lazy joke. Boom, roasted.
He said to him, he said your heart sucks and you crush your wife in bed.
Oh yeah, Kevin was
funny.
the fat.
That's
Kevin
funny. That's a funny way
lazy
to
joke.
give a fat joke. Yeah. I mean, it's more harsh, but it's funnier. So, okay, what's next?
All right, so he's like, yo, he's actually right. Like we've got confirmed stories of the dragons from Marwyn the Mage, who has seen it in his glass candle.
Well, no, he said that they're just hearing stories from the docks, right?
Yeah, I don't think the candle is. I think he's saying that the candle is a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Marwyn, that is deal with Marwyn deals with both these things, but they're not.
Marwyn's
connected.
got some weird shit going on, right? And it's like the mage is a magician, kind of.
Well, it's interesting because Marwyn. I was going to ask Kyle if he's heard of Marwyn before. Well, I'll tell you, you have heard of Marwyn before. Do you remember where you've heard of Marwyn before? I think it's actually more than once you've heard of him before too.
Was it in the no?
We've heard of Marwyn
twice.
I love that Jeff doesn't know.
It's got to be a Lirio thing.
I was gonna say, was it with
Door?
I was gonna say, was it with Danny in the Mace or in the Mages Guild or something? But go ahead. Miri Mazdor studied with him.
Studied with Marwyn when she was in a shy.
She was learning shit. She was learning shit from him.
Yeah, and we hear here that Marwyn was gone for like 8 years or something,
mapping islands,
going to all these crazy places. And when he came back, that's when he, like, one of the other Macers named him the Mage.
He was trying shit too, right? Like shadow magic and weird.
Well,
It sounded like he was trying weird stuff when he came back.
Well, we know Miri Mazdor was doing some weird shit over with Danny with whatever happened with Drogo, right? But I think the other interesting mention of Marwyn is when Jaime is with Qyburn, who's the Maester who takes care of his stump at Harrenhal. Right, the ex-Maester. He had been kicked out of the Citadel.
Yep.
And what my notes say, this is in Marwyn's note, is it says, this is in Jaime 6. Jaime leaves Harrenhal. He has a crazy fever dream on a stump. Goes back to say Brienne. Jaime asks Qyburn if he believes in ghosts. He pretty much says yes, and that the Maesters disagree, all but Marwyn. So Marwyn believes in ghosts. All the other Maesters don't. So it seems like Marwyn is like on this like more magic, like more in touch with magic than the other Maesters.
He must have seen some shit.
I mean, they call him the Mage. Makes sense.
Maesters would be the ones to like not believe in that, right? Like, there's no like you can't believe in the reality of the things that he's bringing up, right?
Well, they're the science people, and they should be like if you can't prove it, you're not gonna 100% buy into it. And like, how are you gonna?
But
prove
it's also weird that they
or...
then believe in like the Seven as their religion too, right?
And you can prove dragons. There's literally skulls of them in the throne room. But it's not like they don't believe that they existed. They don't believe they exist now. But yeah, I mean, again, I think this is where some of this stuff starts to get interesting. So yeah, Marwyn is on board with the dragons. Nobody else likes it, but Marwyn is.
Yeah. And then we hear this, that this candle is burning, which then they get into the whole story of it's impossible to burn and why that's the kind of the metaphor for being a maester.
We hear that before we hear that it is burning, actually, because like somebody mentions the candle and the young kid is like, "Wait, what's this candle you guys are talking about?"
Oh yes, sure, sorry.
And then Armin gives this whole deal. Kyle, you want to read that? Like the whole deal with the candles?
The night before an acolyte says his vows, he must stand a vigil in the vault. No lantern is permitted him, no torch, no lamp, no taper, only a candle of obsidian. He must spend the night in darkness unless he can light that candle. Some will try. The foolish and the stubborn, those who have made a study of the so-called higher mysteries. Often they cut their fingers, for the ridges on the candle are said to be as sharp as razors. Then, with bloody hands, they must wait upon the dawn, brooding on their failure. Wiser men simply go to sleep, or spend the night in prayer, but every year there are always a few who must try. Yes, Pate had heard the same stories, but what's the use of a candle that casts no light? It's a lesson, Armin said. The last lesson we must learn before we don our maester's chains. Glass candle is meant to represent truth and learning, rare and beautiful and fragile things. It is made in the shape of a candle to remind us that a maester must cast light wherever he serves, and it is sharp to remind us that knowledge can be dangerous. Wise men may grow arrogant in their wisdom, but a maester must always remain humble. Glass candle reminds us of that as well, even after he has said his vow and donned his chain and gone forth to serve. A maester will think back on the darkness of his vigil and remember how nothing that he did could make that candle burn. For even with knowledge, some things are not possible.
Yep.
And then Leo laughs at him and he's like, not possible for you, but I saw it burning.
And I think this little quote's weird too. He says, "The light was clear and bright, much brighter than any beeswax or tallow candle. It cast strange shadows and the flame never flickered, not even when the draft blew through the open door behind me." I will say I have been deterred from this on like even through this read through things we've already seen, like the stuff with Melisandre giving birth to a shadow baby. But I feel like when I read this the first time, I was on like a convinced that this was a light bulb and that this was all like some post-apocalyptic world and like everything that we had seen was like a weird, but like it's described like a light bulb. It's like it would be a weird light to someone who's never seen a light bulb and it doesn't flicker. Well, I wasn't thinking about the cut part, but I meant the actual light. It doesn't flicker and the breeze doesn't affect it.
Yeah, but it's also made of obsidian.
Yeah, exactly. So
shut up.
Or like a smartphone. I was thinking maybe it was like a smartphone light, right? Where it's like a piece of glass. This could look like obsidian if you don't know any better, right? Again, I was on like weird sci-fi train. I've been deterred from that. I think there are still a few people who hold on to that.
You read that other book, and you're like, oh, it has to be the same.
There's another book that's like that, which maybe gave me my fix for. But the biggest thing that I think is like you can't explain Melisandre giving birth to a shadow baby with sci-fi. Even if you can somehow explain everything else, you can't explain that. So just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah. Well. All right. Well, this is the Leo's like, no, he saw the shit, or he's something's going on, right? The gray sheep have closed their eyes, but the mastiff sees the truth. Old powers waken, shadows stir, an age wonder, and terror will soon be upon us. An age for gods and heroes. He stretches a smile as the eye. That's worth a round, I'd say. Which we have, people are seeing things, right? Like Melisandre seeing shit in the flames.
Yep.
Mir Mefdor was throwing shadows around, and magic-y shit has happened since the dragons have come.
Fire ladder. Dragons are back.
Right.
And Pate even says that when they're talking about how the glass candles are obsidian. Pate says, oh, they call that dragon glass. And doesn't Alaris say, like, well, the dragons might be back. Like, I wonder maybe that's related to these candles, which, like, we've already said before, the dragons might be related to magic.
For
like,
sure.
In general.
Seems like the magic is growing, and
Yep.
Now one of them is burning.
Yep. Well, the guys are full of Leo. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, one,
no one really believes him, right?
We're not buying you shit. We don't want to have a drink with you. We got class in the morning. We're
There's a big, really good urine talk we got to get to. Really good piss talk.
I'd rather
we get
drink my pee than drink with you.
Exactly. So everybody leaves except for Pate because he's like, it's still not quite daylight. So the
still got a chance.
Alchemist might still show up. Yeah. So Pate and Leo are alone. He's holding out hope. Again, it seems like if he would have left earlier, the better. But is there anything that crazy happened? Basically, when him and Leo are alone, we just kind of learn that Leo is a Tyrell.
Yep. And he's got some. I got some famous friends you probably heard of.
His dad is like the head of the City Watch, and
Mace
is his cousin.
Yep.
And Lord Leighton Hightower, who's the lord of this city, is a bannerman to the Tyrells. So he kind of has an in with like the head of the city. So.
Yep.
Pate's like, all right, time to head out. And he leaves, crosses the bridge.
The sun's up. I gotta go because the guy's gonna have to shit in the morning. I'm gonna have to clean his clothes.
Yeah, it's got shit all over himself. I gotta be there to clean it.
Yep.
So we get a little bit about Old Town. Old Town seems like a cool city. I don't know too much about it. It's all stone. He says there's like a lot of wood and stuff.
Yeah, it's nicer than King's Landing.
100% nicer.
It's clean, right? Where he mentions where King's Landing was dirty and just mud and rushes. Like this is all stone and
more clean. There are people throwing night soil.
Well, you got to throw your poop somewhere in the morning.
Well, I mean, then it's not super clean.
Well, you never know. They might have a good gutter system.
But yeah, so he's kind of walking around. It looks beautiful because the sun's coming up. He thinks that's when everything like looks the most beautiful. He thinks back on some of the stand-up stuff we were talking about earlier. He does mention Lord Leighton Hightower, who is in the High Tower. The High Tower is so tall. They say that from the top of it, you can see all the way to the wall.
No way.
Fake news.
It would have to be really tall.
The naked eye can only see X amount of miles.
Yeah, but Hightower is really high, and Lord Leighton Hightower hasn't come down in over a decade. This can't be accurate. This has to be like a small folk whisper thing. Dude has to have come out for a stroll every once in a while, or he's dead, and they're just like, weekend at Bernie's in him.
Yeah, but as he's walking over something, boom, here comes the alchemist in his hood. Yo, what's up, buddy? Told you I'd be here.
Yep, in the hood, can't see his face. It's weird because he says like when they first meet, the sun was behind him, so he can't see their face. Then they walk through this whole maze, and somehow he still can't see his face. He's like, "Take your hood off."
It's still kind of dark, I guess.
I guess the alchemist kept the sun in his back, but
and he's got a bigger hood. I mean, it's a hood, right?
But he made it seem like the sun was part of Wyatt, but whatever, doesn't really matter. So he's like, "Have you decided what you are?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm a thief." And then this is when he thinks back to like having to steal this box from under Walgrave's bed. The lock was already broken.
That was actually already open.
Yep, because Walgrave had lost the key to that. Like, we're keeping a key inside a box that's locked up by a different key, which Walgrave still has to keep on his person. Like, we have, you know what I mean? Like, it's one layer of abstraction for the problem. But
you should just have it on his neck. Put it on a necklace.
Well, that's what they were going to say, but then there's like, he was going to lose it, which is exactly what happened to the key to this box, which is why Walgrave had to break the key. Break the locks, but whatever. So Pate steals the key.
However, losing the key to the box was worse, or not as bad as losing a master key to the Citadel, right?
But losing the key to the box is the same as losing the master key to the Citadel. When you have the master key to the Citadel locked up in the box that you lost the key to.
The box is still like locked up under your bed, like, and that key's just gone.
It's not locked up anymore. He broke the lock.
He should lose master key problems. He shouldn't have the master key anymore. No more.
Agree.
100%. Yeah.
Take it away. He doesn't need it. What's he need it for? Can't even take a poop.
Also, the one point when I was going to say earlier, I forget. I don't know why you just reminded me of it. But the one thing I feel like I learned about Macers is he says like Gorman sat under the iron mask for Walgrave or something like that. And I'm like, what the fuck did that mean? And later he says that Pate was thinking that one of the Macers told him like, oh, don't never trust magic, or like only trust in things you can see. But Pate thinks to himself, but he didn't even have a Valyrian steel rod or mask, or like he lists like 3 things like that. So that makes me think like, oh, when you get elevated to his position, you get like a mask of the color. But he was like, his mask was rose gold, or what? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like this person who was trying to lecture him on the mysteries was really like the professor of math or whatever. Well, I think gold is economics or math or something like that. So Pate basically thinks to himself like, you have no right to lecture me. But in doing so, we learn that like the Archmaester gets like a few items. I wish I had it in front of me. It's in here somewhere, but yeah, hold on. Leave spells and prayers to the priests and septons, and bend your wits to learning truths a man can trust in. Archmaester Ryam had once counseled Pate. But Ryam's ring and rod and mask were yellow gold, and his macer's chain had no link of Valyrian steel. So again, it's not explained, but he says, but Ryam's ring and rod and mask were yellow gold. So I'm guessing those are like 3 things you get granted when you become like the Archmaester of economics or whatever, Archmaester of math, which I think is what yellow gold is, one of those 2. So I just think that, again, it doesn't explicitly tell us that, but I think we can infer that from that, which I think is kind of cool, because I'd never even really thought of that before. Also, the only person I know that we know of that has a Valyrian steel link is
Mr. Lewin.
Job, Jeff.
But yeah, so all right, I'm a thief. Took the key, took some silver. Let's go trade. Let's make the trade, but not right here, right? So the alchemist's like, nope, can't do it here. Down an alleyway, down another, over the hill, through the woods.
Yep.
Fate's like, all right, fuck this. Like, come on, let's go. We're here. And he's like, all right, if you say so. Bam. Here's my gold coin. Did the cool trick on the fingers.
Yep. Pate snatches it up. The man's like, okay, cool, give me the iron. Pate's like, wait, no, show me your face. And the man does, and it just an ordinary face.
Cat.
And he's like, I don't know you. And the Optimus like, yeah, and I don't know you. Like, give me the key. Like, okay, whatever. See ya.
Almost forgot. And he bit the coin just because that's what you do when you have gold. Didn't
Arya do this? Somebody else did this. I swear to God that somebody got coin.
Arya did it, yeah.
Did you know when it was the
maybe the
Bramosi
iron coin? Because Arya definitely never got hit. I can't remember any character we know of that got handed gold. And, maybe like Tyrion, but Tyrion wouldn't.
He would know what gold is.
Yeah, he wouldn't think like, oh, I need to taste it to know.
The old like gold feels soft. It's just a weird thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've felt gold and like to feel, you know how people are like, oh, it feels soft. Like, I guess if you bite it, maybe you can leave an indent.
Well, also, like, wouldn't all the if it was really that soft, wouldn't all the coins have like bite marks in them? Like,
yeah,
how many transactions can that coin really go through till it's just all bite marks? I don't know.
You need to repound it out.
I guess that shows that I don't have a lot of gold in my possession.
I have no idea.
Don't rob me.
Dogecoin only.
Yeah. So he got the coin. He's like, I'm out of here. His heart starts pounding. The cobbles he's getting dizzy.
He does wonder, we mentioned it too, he wonders what this guy wants the key for. He does ask him. He's like, do you want a book? Do you want to like go somewhere like in the restricted section?
Exactly. That's not part of it. That's not part of the deal.
And bam, head face meet cobblestone.
I don't know if I ever caught this part. There's a part where like when he starts like freaking out, he's like, what's happening? I don't understand. And it says, and never will, a voice said sadly. The cobblestones rushed up to kiss him. Pate cried for help, but his voice was failing too. His last thought was of Rosie. So it's like, as he's falling, he's like, what's happening? And someone's like, you'll never know. It's like, that is fucked up.
Yeah, well, so like, I was going to say it earlier, but I forgot, was, like, every one of these prologues so far, somebody's died in. So the whole time I was kind of reading this, I'm like, how's this guy going to die, right? Like,
yeah, we're in the middle of a city. He's chilling.
He's just like a student. He didn't really do anything wrong. He's just kind of hanging out here. He still didn't really do anything. I mean, he did something pretty awful, I guess, by giving the key away. But this, like, why did this dude have to kill him, right? Other than no witnesses and you get your gold back, I guess, if it was even gold.
Guess you're going to have to sit on that one.
So I didn't read anything into it, and that's how this next chapter is going to be. It's the prophet, right? We talked about this at the end of the other one. I don't know who the hell the prophet is.
Can't even give me a name.
Got the art done for him. Tell you that looks pretty sweet.
Apparently it's somebody new then, I guess, or maybe it's just an updated old art. So I don't know. I would have guessed Bran, but who knows?
Bran's a solid guess. Cool. All right, Kyle, Old Town.
Yeah, I mean it's a good chapter. I'm looking. I guess I'm hoping we get one of these characters as a POV because I want to find out more that's happening here. And it seemed to happen in the last ones too. Like somebody nearby at least got to be.
Yep, Crescent, then Davos, Chet, then Sam.
Yeah. So hopefully we get, like I said earlier, the Sphinx would be cool. I don't know who else really would be out of this short encounter.
Not Drunk Melander.
Armin was kind of just a pain in the ass, right? He was just
Armin.
the well actually dude. Yeah, he was just kind of like the smart.
Actually.
Sorry.
Actually.
I must correct you.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy. So I think the Sphinx would be the best. So I think that probably wraps up my opinion of this. I'm excited to get going. Yeah.
Here we go. We're here.
New shit.
Feast for Crows.
Feast for Crows, baby. What about the name of the book?
A lot of death.
I honestly think till today, I thought it was a Feast of Crows.
Yeah.
That's why I said it.
Feast for Crows, which would be like a lot of death on a battlefield or something like that.
Of dead bodies.
Well, I get the picture.
Feast of Crows would be like you were eating
crow, eat crow.
Yeah.
Or is that not lies? That's just being wrong.
Exactly. Well, all I'm saying is that would be just way different meanings. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying they both don't fit.
Maybe my meaning's better.
They might both fit too. Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, double meaning.
I don't know.
Someone should be eating crow. Is all I'm saying.
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I'm new here.
All right, we'll see Kyle in the next one for the Prophet. We'll see you guys in the spoiler section.
All right, dog. See you,
Bye,
Kyle. Bye.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you later.
See you on the next one for Prophet.
The Prophet.
Aaron 1. Jeff, what we got for this one? I feel like you actually probably should have one or two.
I got a handful.
What we got? Hit me.
Well, the Alchemist is a faceless man.
Yes. Should we have read his description? Kyle wouldn't have remembered it, but it would have kind of maybe give Kyle.
I mean, was it Jack and Hagarish? I was trying to remember. Like, did Jack and Hagar in the book have the blonde streak in his hair, like the show?
I think his hair was half red and half white, maybe, but he changed he changed it all before he leaves. That and what he changes it to is what you need to remember.
Oh, okay. So we do get that he turned into like this.
It's like the exact same thing, yeah. Which is how we know.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, it's impossible for him to like put that 2 and 2 together. I guess the one hint would be, I think he said that he was no one, right?
Yeah, in passing, but he said it like with something else.
Yeah, it was.
He said like I'm a shadow, I'm no one, or something like that.
I mean, I almost had maybe a big spoiler.
Close. I think we played it off as you were just wrong. That happens. That happens.
It was wrong, but then like I tried to like prove that I was right about like like they were seeing shadows and shit like that.
You always do that, which I try and give you an out, and you just push too hard. But I think we got it.
No, I was right. I definitely. They said he saw it. What do you mean? It said he sees the truth.
Yeah, but it's
literally but the Mastiff sees the truth. It's in ink.
That's vague though.
Right here. No, it's not vague.
Hold on, we're jumping around.
The gray sheep have closed their eyes, but the Mastiff sees the truth. It's in ink.
The truth could be anything though. Like just that there's magic.
So the big thing is.
Hold on, let me read the faces.
Okay.
Jack and Hagar, in the last time we see him, Jackin passed a hand down his face from forehead to chin, and where it went, he changed. His cheeks grew fuller, his eyes closer, his nose hooked, a scar appeared upon his right cheek where no scar had been before, and when he shook his head, his long, straight hair, half red and half white, dissolved away to reveal a cap of tight black curls. Ari's mouth hung open. Who are you? How did you do that? Full cheeks, closer eyes, hooked nose, scar on his right cheek, tight black curls.
Sounds about right.
And then in this chapter, Pate says he was just a man, and his face was just a face, a young man's face, ordinary, with full cheeks, in the shadow of a beard. A scar showed faintly on his right cheek. He had a hooked nose, and a mat of dense black hair that curled tightly around his ears.
There you go.
Bang, bang. Jackin.
Jack and Hagar.
And what's really interesting about, not really spoiler related, but kind of like on Kyle's takes, Kyle is like, I feel like excited to find out what happens next. We do not find out what happens next until the very last chapter of the book.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Which is?
The epilogue, probably.
There's no epilogue.
Sam.
Sam arrives.
Sam arrives and sees Pate.
Exactly. At that point, like, Kyle's gonna be like, he's probably gonna not remember this chapter because it'll have been a year. He's gonna be like, wait, I guess Pate didn't die.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be because he just hit the cob like. He could have fainted, right? He could have passed out.
I guess in between, like that would be my first thought right now, though. But I guess in between there, we do learn about Arya does have her whole faceless men thing. So like,
yeah, and they're touching coins, right? Or does she?
Oh, Arya kills somebody with this gold coin trick. She gets somebody to bite a coin to kill him. So yeah, maybe that will give him the hint. But yeah, so that's cool. But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say? I cut you off.
Why does he want the key?
That is a mystery.
It's got to be glass candle related, right?
People think it's dragon related. Or like one of the things Pate says in this chapter is, what about one of the old Valyrian scrolls beneath the citadel that people say are like the only copies left? That could be it too, right? And again,
to learn what though?
Part of that is because when Arya is with the Faceless Men, we learn that they got their origin kind of like anti-Valyrian. There was a bunch of slavers who had horrible lives. The first Faceless Man was a slaver. And I think the kindly man tells Arya that he started giving the gift to the other slavers. And Arya's like, no, that's not right. He should have given the gift to, or he started.
The masters, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was giving the gift to the other slaves. And she's like, no, he should have given it to the masters. And he's like, oh, he did, but that's a story for a different tale. Which I don't know if we get any more on that, but I think people, because of that, believe that the Faceless Men had something to do with the Doom of Valyria. And that was them doing their thing for the Maesters.
I do recall that now.
So people think that here, because the dragons are back, Jaqen now wants information on dragons. So they think whatever he's after in the Citadel is dragon related, I think is the major theory. It might be one of the books by Septon Barth about dragons, who was one of the people alive during King Jaehaerys' time, so the king before King Viserys. He wrote a lot of books about dragons. Tyrion thinks about some of them in Dance, but
Okay. All right. Glass candles. What are they good for? Absolutely nothing.
probably sending visions
Sending dreams.
and dreams. Kind of like Weirwood.
Something came onto me at the end. Do you think it was Quathy talking to this guy at the end, or somebody?
I think it was
You're
just
like, and you'll
Jack
never
kind
know?
of sneaking up behind him, if I'm being honest. But
Okay.
yeah, it's a good thought. It might be somebody with a glass candle, maybe even Marwyn. But yeah, I think Quathy does say something about glass candles to Dany. Not necessarily that she is using one. I think people assume she's using one with Dany, but I think all she says to Dany is the glass candles are burning. I think Quaith says that to Dany. So yeah, glass candles are weird. Also interesting that if they're really just like big pieces of obsidian, do like all the whatever property of like a burning glass candle has where you can like fuck with dreams. What makes a glass candle? You know what I mean? Like, does the dagger Sam has, like, could he send dreams with that if he somehow lit that thing? Like, I think that's interesting.
Nah. I think it has something to do with like all four of them being together.
It is weird because it's 3 black and 1 green. You need multiple.
Yeah.
Recently, there was a bunch of discoveries of like early drafts from some of these books. And at one point, George had the idea that every maester had a glass candle.
It's a lot of glass candles.
Exactly. But then that obviously didn't make it into the final cut. But kind of weird to think about, like, what could that mean?
I kind of like the thought that maybe there's like a chosen maester, or like somebody is the chosen one. Maybe Lightbringer is actually the one that needs to come to this thing to light the glass candles, right? Like,
Oh.
so they're kind of checking each maester to be like, maybe he's the one, and like they turned it into like, well, no one's actually the one, but like till that person actually does arrive.
Maybe like Marwyn's the only one that can actually light the last candles, and the reason only 1 is lit is because, like Pate said, like 3 were black and 1 was green. Maybe only the green one was a real one. The black ones were duds, and you actually need a green something like that. So like now Marwyn has to go around and light all the glass candles. But Quathy
It is weird that
one.
one's green. Maybe it's a whole network, and that's why he was actually really, all over the place. Like, he just found some shit over there, right? And you got to create the whole network. So he found like the Ashai and ET and those glass candles. That's why that's green. Now he's got to go to like the north and find their shit.
Having just one glass candle on doesn't do any good. You need another one on somewhere else to get your messages. So yeah, that's what his trip was about. Maybe. I don't hate that idea.
I'm just full of them.
The other one was there was a mention of Dawn. It was a lot of like pre-Dawn stuff.
Big Dawn.
The only Dawn mention I got was like straight with Dawn, and the quote was, "The mists were lightening to the east. Dawn," Pate realized. "Dawn has come, and the alchemist has not."
Jack and Agara's Nisa. He's actually a Dane that went to study with the Faceless Men.
The Faceless Men don't show up and help out during the long night. That's all I got from that.
Okay.
Anything else you got?
No.
Kyle's favorite character, Alaris, the Sphinx.
The Sphinx dies.
Is a secret person. Is actually somebody else.
He's a Tyrell.
First of all, he's a she.
He's a Martell. What?
There's kind of a hint here when Pate says like, "Oh yeah, he was like slim," and Rosie always like the part where he says like Rosie always rubbed his leg. He's talking about Alaris. He describes him like kind of femininely right before that, as like a good looking person, but pretty feminine. If you spell his name backwards, it's her real name, Sorella.
Who the hell is that?
Her last name's Sand, Sorella Sand.
She's a sand snake?
She's a sand snake.
Interesting. Why is she the? Oh, she can't be a woman in the Maester.
Yep, exactly. So she pretended to be a boy, and she crushed it. She got 3 She got 3 links in her ear. It's just like, come on,
must be the smartest of the sand snakes. So what's she doing there? That's a whole nother.
I literally think the only thing we hear of her between this, we see her here. She is one of the people that greets Sam when Sam shows up in his chapter at the very end of this book. I think between that, or besides that, all we hear is I don't know if it's in this book, in one of the Ariane chapters, or in the next. It's got to be in this one of the Ariane chapters. Doran says like Sorella is off playing her game, implying that he knows that she's like posing as a man, getting along. I think her plan is probably just get as far as she can until they realize and kick her out, and she's like, whatever, I already learned. Now I've learned what I can.
Is it not like a lie to get killed over or anything like that? Or
I don't think she would get killed. She'd probably just get booted out. Yeah.
Well, they let Oberyn. I mean, it's like going to college. They let Oberyn just come and study and then leave.
And that's probably why she wants to do it, because she's just following in her dad's footsteps. Right.
Yeah. I mean, what's the big deal? Like,
also interesting. I wonder what, and they say it. I wonder what links she had. One of them was copper. I looked at it. That was history.
She's trying to figure out some shit.
Like, does she know poisoning? Like, does she have a Valyrian steel link? So she is in on them. That was the other thing is that I'm glad you didn't know that, because the biggest thing that I was afraid I was going to spoil for Kyle is I was accidentally going to call Alaris a she, Alaris, because her name's Sorella. So
I didn't remember that at all.
Every time people talk about her in the fandom, they just talk about Sorella, or sometimes they'll call the Sphinx. But
when do we find out that she's a sand snake?
I don't think we do. I don't think it's for sure. But when people found out that her name is Sorella spelled backwards, it was like that was a pretty sure sign. Like, people had suspected this, and then they're like, "Oh wait, it's literally her name backwards." So
yeah, it's interesting.
It's maybe not positive, but I think it's pretty
okay. All right. Well,
this is a 95% one. I think
it's a good Easter egg.
Yeah, it sucks that I think Kyle's right. She is a really cool character, and it sucks that we are going to see her one more time in this book.
A year and a half.
In less than a year with Sam. There's only 46 chapters in this book, so
okay, year and a quarter.
Half as many chapters as the last book, but they're a little longer.
Yeah, we did pretty good today.
We did good.
I had my notes. I kept us on.
New note taking style for me too. Good, but good. Yeah.
Let's
sign off.
All right. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, leave comment. I saw you can leave comments on Spotify.
Yo,
I don't know if you can do that on ours or you need to be like a really big podcast, but I saw that when I was listening to another podcast. But leave a comment on Spotify.
Try it out.
Who knows? I don't know how to read it, but leave it.
Maybe it'll be there.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.